G'day guys, welcome to a new segment that we're going to be doing on Valor while we're all at home. This segment is going to be called Too Much Time on My Hands, and I'm going to kick it off with what I do when I've got too much time on my hands, and that is make really tasty filter coffee. So what I've got here is 3 different ways to make coffee. We've got an Aeropress, which was specially requested by Amanda Hall. She wants to know how this is done. We've got more classic French press, and then we've got pour over. So, because I'm a bit of a coffee guy, I've got lots of different types of coffee here. They're all local and you can get them ordered to your home. So I've got some Prodigal from the Somerville, and I've got some Common Folk from Mornington. A lot of you guys know that I'm a bit of a Common Folk fiend. So, a couple of things, people ask me things like they don't really know the coffee to water ratios, and that's probably one of the most important things to do to get right when you are getting a little bit fancy with coffee. So the most common ratio to go off is just a 1:15 ratio. So 1 gram of coffee to 15 grams of water. So what I've done here is I've made 3 separate batches of coffee, all at 20 grams. So if you were to do 20 grams of coffee, that would be 300 mils of water. All of these take a little bit slightly different time. The pour over takes the longest. So what we'll do first is we will kick that one off and go from there. It's pretty handy to have yourself a little set of scales so you can measure the 20 grams out. You can guesstimate, but the better you get the measurements, the better it goes. So for the pour over today, oh, so good. We're gonna have the La Estrella Common Folk coffee. Tasting notes of apricot, peach and grapefruit. Bloody good. Let's move this out of the way. This is how we get this one started. So we're going to keep returning to this one while we do the others. So first thing we need is a bit of filter paper. There are a few different types of filter paper. This one's Japanese type from Mark. Mark gave me this. Thank you. So we pop that in. First thing we need to do is just wet the paper so our coffee doesn't taste like paper. Just get a little bit around there. Let that soak through. Once it's soaked through, that's 20 grams of coffee. Smell it. Oof, beautiful. Then we pop that in. Make sure every little bit gets in. There we go. Give that a little shake and a rattle. Now we don't need this bit of water here. Get rid of that. So what I'm going to do here is pour in 300 mils into the measuring jug. Now, teapot with a decent spout is what you need to make a good pour over. This is an okay spout, but it's a pretty fancy looking teapot. It's from Morocco, so I just like to use it because it's fancy. Chuck our 300 in there. Then I'll put this bucket back here, pop that on top. Here we go. Now this is a super hot pot. So I'll need this. Okay, so what we do with the pour over is you pour a little bit at a time, and we circle it. So we just pour little circles. Now the first phase of doing a decent coffee is we need to get all that air, the CO2 out of it. So we just do 1 pour for about, how long is that, 15-20 seconds, just to let that kind of chill out a little bit and gets all the CO2 out of it. While that one's going, we'll get on to French press. It's probably the most common one for most of you guys to have. It's pretty easy to get a French press. A lot of our nans have French presses. Prodigal, Guatemala, Santiago, Gomez, Milo, raisins and plum. Tasting notes, beautiful. Now this one's a lot easier to do. Oof. All we do, pop it in. We're going to grab our second measurer. Get ourselves another 300 mil. This is a plastic measurer. Hopefully it handles the heat. It's clicking at me. And then we do a similar thing. Oh, Harper's come to visit.
Hello, mate.
Just pop a little bit in first. Again, I like to let that air a little bit. Now, once this is started to run out, we just pour a little bit more. Again, nice circles. When children come with you, you've got to be concentrating even more so they don't mess you up. So you could do a bit of a longer pour this time.
Yeah.
About 20 to 30 seconds. We'll pop that down. Push that paper back out. Okay, now what we need to do is pour the rest in. Hey Harper, do you reckon you can give me a long spoon?
No.
Yeah. Spoon, thanks.
A green spoon.
Just a spoon, yeah?
Yeah.
That will be amazing. Now while Harper gets a spoon, I'm just going to pop that on there. Pop that down. So the French press is a more gritty flavour, whereas these two with the filter paper, it's a bit more smooth, you get a bit more flavour out of it. So if you like a bit of a gritty coffee, that's the way to go. Thank you. So it's always good in your French press, give it a little bit of a stir, and then pop it back down and push it down just to the press is at the top of the water. Sit it there and let it rest. We need to wet the paper, just like the previous one. Then we're going to screw this on top. There's a couple of different ways to do this one. I'm actually going to do the way that Mark taught me. I really like it. So we're going to pop this in this way first. This is the reverse version of this. And then this coffee, we've got the Portugal, Ethiopia, I can't even read it, Walichu Wachu. Someone just bought me one of these, just got had delivered, and I don't even know who did it. So whoever that was, thank you. I think it's my favourite one. Before we kick on, we need to add a little bit more water to this. And you can smell it, be careful. Oh yeah, look at that one dripping. Good. All right, so we can pop this into the top here while this is upside down. Now, easy thing for measuring with, one of these bad boy Aeropresses is if you pretty much fill it to the top with water, it's about 300 ml. So, same process as before. Just put a little bit in first. Let that CO2 escape. You'll even see it bubbling up. Okay, this one's almost done. Last little bit through.
Even hot water.
Okay, so now we'll finish off this, fill it right back up to the top. Almost to the very top. Will give us 300 ml.
That's upside down.
Yeah. This is a special trick that I learned. So what happens when you do it the other way is the water kind of starts to drip out through the paper and the plunger before you want it to drip out. So when we put it in upside down, you can actually do a little suction trick. Cool, so what we do here is let that sit for a bit. Now with this one, some people will find that the French press can be a little bit strong or bitter, just because it's not as filtered as much. So what I like to do is just put a little bit more than 300 in. Okay, so with this one, what you can do, to get a bit of suction on it, we just pull it backwards a little bit. You'll even hear the air come out. Get your glass, pop it over, and there we go. Not so much is gonna drip out. Cool, we're just gonna let that sit for a tiny bit longer. Make sure that coffee's in
Why
there.
can we not squeeze it down?
We can squeeze it down in a sec. So, this little bugger's done. Here is our pour over. Oh, goody. With our French press, all we need to do is press that through to the bottom and give that one a good pour. Into the Disney cup it goes. with the Aeropress.
Why?
You can do the next one.
Yay.
You press, press, press. Whew.
Now you have to. Do you know you have to drink those 3 coffees?
I do know I have to drink those 3. I can't wait to drink these 3 coffees. And I'll stop that one there. And there we have it. Our 3
Coffees.
coffees. So we've got ourselves a beautiful Aeropress, our tasty French.
They look
And then-
different colours.
Yeah, they are because they're different beans.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give them all a little taste. See what we reckon. Oh yeah. Do you want to taste?
No.
All right, onto the French press. Beautiful. Definitely a bit grittier. So if you like a gritty coffee, French press is the way to go. And then this is always my favorite, the pour over. It's usually the smoothest of the 3. Outstanding. So, if you're pretty keen to get into the old coffee, there's 3 methods to go. If you have no idea, start with the French press, then get onto the Aeropress, and then lastly get into the pour over. But I love the filtered coffees because they bring out all that flavour in the coffee. So they're more of it's almost like a tea taste rather than a heavy coffee taste. There we go. That is the first video of, what was it called? Too much time on my hands. Please send yours in and teach us some random skills.